Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Marik. I'm a staff writer at Inside Nebraska, part of the Rivals.com network. And that man over there, that is Jay Foreman, our NFL veteran and former Nebraska Blackshirt. Jay, we are breaking down a transfer edition for the Nebraska football program. First of all, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. And hey, a lot's going on here in the new year, and I love it, man. It doesn't stop, and that's how you build a program. So look, the young man we're going to talk about today is right on target, and people are going to be pleasantly surprised about how good he is.
Yeah, so it is Blye Hill, transfer from St. Francis, FCS program out in Pennsylvania. Blye Hill, a little bit about him: 6'3", 185 pounds, length for days with this one. Jay on the outside at the cornerback position. So he was kind of lightly recruited coming out of high school. And he chose to go the FCS route. He landed at St. Francis. But the thing about that I liked is his very first year, last year as a true freshman, he started some games. So he
Right.
played in 9 games, 21 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. So a lot of good stuff that we're going to be watching here on film. But Jay, when you first saw Blye Hill's name flash across and you did a little research on him, what did you like most?
Well, I mean, before we get into the physical attributes,
Mm-hmm.
his dad, Leroy, played in the NFL quite some time, and his dad was a great player.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about that, obviously, he plays a different position because his dad was he was a
Linebacker.
smart guy. We played linebacker, so but the thing about it, you know what his dad's made of, and he's put that into him as well, so that you're getting a kind of an extra player a kid that knows how to prepare, knows how to compete, and is willing to bet on himself. As you see, he went to FCS schools, and then he went in there and proved himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he proved himself to a point that where Nebraska had their eye on him while he was playing pretty well at that level, and a potential guy that could come in and compete. And the one thing about his physical attributes, being 6'3", 195, he's long. He's got good quicks for a tall, lanky kid. He's got enough size. He's not even lanky. He's not like he's 175 or 165. So he's a big, well built kid that has a ton of potential. So he hasn't even scratched the surface of where he could be. So this is a good get for Nebraska in the sense of you got somebody with major college experience and productivity, and you're getting a kid that's going to come in and compete. He's willing to take a chance on himself every day. He's gonna get the max out of it. So he's not only going to be a good player, he's going to be a great locker room guy. He's going to fit right in there with Evan Cooper and what they're trying to do, play multiple positions,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll tackle as well.
Let's get right into the highlights right now. It's easy to see with that 6 foot three kind of frame and those longs, they go for days. I mean, and this first highlight, Jay, is kind of like a really good highlight to show what he can do with his length that is currently playing with.
Yeah, when you have long corners, you think of like Richard Sherman and guys like that back in the day before you were born. Steve, like a Mel Blunt or somebody like that, where they can make up a lot of space and a lot of room and yardage with their length, right? So you want to think about length. Think about the play that Javen Wright made, I think, at home against Maryland. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was right there, where you're able to make up ground just by your natural, God-given, length right here. And watch him right here. Good play diagnosis right here. I like that he's able to fight through traffic and not lose his man. I think one of the things that really hurts young defensive backs is losing, uh, the receiver or the person that they're covering in the trash. And look what he did. He knew he was in a chase position, and he knew when he knows his length where he can make up ground. And look how much ground he made up right there. And we'll look at how quick he's up on the ball. He high points that ball. Look at
Oh
that
yeah.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that you want on your Twitter account or
Yep.
your phone or screensaver on your phone. Look at this right here. Athletic ability right there. High point the ball. It didn't come down with the catch, but that's a great play on a route that is designed to put him in a negative position and not in a position to be able to make plays. And so being a true freshman right there, work through the trash, right? Head down. He knows when to look, right? He knows when he got to get within an arm's length before he can start looking back at the quarterback and trying to find the ball. Really, really good play right there. And then you see him here in press cover. This is where he eventually will make his money. But I mean, if you go back to the beginning of this play right here, watch how many like pitter patters he has right here. Look how quick his feet are right here. Watch this. One, two. Watch it now. Watch his like rapid movement right there. See that right there?
Yeah.
And look how his eyes are on the hip, and then he goes right up to the shoulder. That's excellent technique. He's reading the eyes right now. He's even with the a little bit underneath, even with the receiver, and that's how he's able to make a play right here and essentially run the route. And then I like it that he's able to get downhill at that 45-degree angle and make a play on the ball. And he went with the inside hand. Watch this right here. I mean, these are the little things that you look for regardless of where kids are playing. High school, FCS, Division I, Division II, NAIA. You look at this right here, and obviously Power Five, that he knew the worst case scenario, if there was a great tackle and he did, somehow keep his balance, that he was going to make the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And watch how he's doing it. I mean, he ran the route for him and went underneath it and made a great play on the ball. I mean, this is what you want out of your corner and press coverage right there. It's kind of a press bail, really good patience as well from a cornerback, a long corner right there. He didn't overextend himself, right? He didn't get in too much of an open sprint. And it's good film study because he knew what route was coming.
And this one again, looks like a go route right here. But again, Blye Hill, with that length, he's got some speed. And what I liked about this is the receiver wasn't running away from him. Just look how long he is. I mean, just the frame that we're working with here is just really intriguing.
Well, it's a whole bunch of intrigue, and I want to say that his mom was a basketball player as well. So
Okay.
that's where his dad was about 6 foot, 6'1". He's a legit 6'3", and he looks like he's still growing. But look at this technique right here, right? You get a look. You're going in the bail. He's trying to give you an outside release. So now his inside technique right here is taking away any under routes. That's why he's a little
Okay.
bit late in his chase position right here. But look where he gets a little bit even. That's within 5 yards. Doesn't panic, right? Then he gets in a sprint position, right? He's reading the eyes, and this is the best thing he does. He goes to a little bit of a box out technique right here, where normally a receiver would like to fade, but when he doesn't, look at this, he doesn't lose his balance in that length. Look at that, right? I mean, he's got some cool plays to put on like still frames, but I'm sure that a
Yeah.
lot of kids do. But being
Mm-hmm.
him so long though, but watch this right here. Doesn't lose the ball, and he's able to track it. Right, the ball tracking is something that they don't grade enough, I think, for young corners or safeties or even receivers. But look at this right here. He goes to the box out technique. The receiver tries to bump on him a little bit, and he leans back into him again. You see that right there? And where he has enough body control and strength and core strength where the receiver can't bump him off and make that catch. But then more importantly, his length in going up and trying to attack the ball allows him to affect the receiver in his ability to make a pretty good catch right here. Watch this right about now. See that right there?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have really, really good body control and core strength and strength in your body and timing, you can't affect a play like this, even if you have really good coverage like he has right now.
And obviously, playing in the Big Ten, he's going to ask to tackle, help out and run support. And I thought this one, these last two plays, the first clip that we're going to show has two different angles, so it's actually two plays. But what'd you see here? I really like that he's wrapping up the ball carriers.
Yeah, I like it that he had diagnosed the plays. He's in obviously man to man and his little crack replace. And I like the explosiveness, right? Stick your foot in the ground and find out where you're going. And then obviously arrive and tackle him. Like your corners, you're not expecting to be your thumpers, but I like it where he hits them and he
Mm-hmm.
gets them down to the ground. I'm a big fan of that. Used to call this the alligator tackle, right? And you kind of use their leverage going outside, and then you kind of twist them back and you kind of, olay them down right here. But
Mm-hmm.
good right here, right? Head across the chest right here. And then the length right there allows that running back probably thought he was going somewhere, but he got him and hurled him in like Plastic Man right there. So that's a really good tackle, really good play diagnosed. And that's the hardest play for a corner to come up and run support when you're playing man to man. You got to crack replace and you can't overrun it. And then you got to be able to get up there and know where you're going as far as your leverage and tackling and be a good force player. Look, it was I don't know if that was a tackle for loss, but a tackle for no gain.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at the most 1 yard. That's more than a positive play. Defensive coordinators are going to be happy with those type of results.
So that play was out wide, and now we see him kind of condensed in right next to the offensive line, and he hangs in there right in the tackle box or around the tackle
Right.
box, and gets him down.
Yeah, I mean, look, the trash is what really sometimes hurts young corners, right? And
Mm-hmm.
again, look, I like this right here. He knew he had outside leverage, right? And look at outside, I think it's 88 right here. And he's in man to man, and then he knew he kind of diagnosed the play right here, right? He gets his hands on him, which is good, right? And the 88 is probably trying to go in to block the linebacker. I like how he threw him off, right, and came off with good leverage, knew he had a little bit of outside help, and then got up there and made a good secure tackle, allow his teammate to come in there and get an assist. And so, what you like is the ability. I really like the ability of him that we saw not only against the pass but the run is to focus when there's trash, right? And that's either by a condensed formation, a bunt formation, motion. Obviously, we saw him cover a crossing route when he had to work through the trash and then be able to make a play on it. And then obviously he's able to do so with extreme amount of body length and body control. But better yet, he's able to track the ball, which is allows his timing, whether he's intercepting the ball or having a pass breakup. That makes him very appealing. He has position flexibility as well, right? He can play outside
Mhm.
on either corner. He could be the force corner where you have like more of a run support guy, or a wide field corner, or your boundary corner that's going to be able to you're going to get a lot of those 9 routes. You're going to get a lot of those corner routes. You might even get a little bit of a bang 8 where you got to really undercut it and get there. He's shown the ability to do that. And then if he really wants to, he could definitely be a field safety or a free safety where he can cover a lot of ground, and he can so wherever they decide to put him, he just got to continue to develop and get bigger, faster, stronger, and then just get used to playing at this level. Which he if you compare him to a regular, say, freshman, right,
Mhm.
or a freshman that just purely redshirted, he got 9, 10 games in of
Yep.
starting experience,
Mhm.
so the moment won't be too big. The transition, ideally, right, will be a lot smoother, along with his background and upbringing or his parents and support system, along with what they have here in Nebraska. I think it was a really good job of getting a under the radar, prospect in the portal that has a ton of upside. That what he's built, from, right. You're not only recruiting the player, the parents, and the situation, but then also you like the characteristics, at least in my opinion, where maybe he was under recruited. He didn't throw his hands up and take his ball home like, people like to say. He dug his heels in and bet on himself and went to a school that he could go and play and compete and play. And then he goes there and he plays well. You sacrifice, let's just say 6 months, maybe, from the time he got to St. Francis to now. And
Mhm.
then also academically, he's very good as well. So that lets him transitioning on and off the field. I mean, in the academics and then on the field and then in the locker room, should be pretty seamless. So I'm sure, everybody's excited, and I'm excited to see where he is and what he does, in the spring and hopefully upcoming in the fall.
So Jay, why do I have a question I've always kind of wanted to ask. I think it's kind of the answer might be obvious, but so these bigger corners at like, let's just take Blye Hill, for example, 6'3". What makes them so, like, I guess, better suited than other maybe smaller corners with bump and run coverage?
Well, they
Or
have length.
Mhm.
A smaller corner, he has to, really rely on quickness, and that depends on how small he is, right? And so,
Mhm.
and how he's built, right? You could be a small corner but really be tall from the torso up, so it really doesn't affect you, or so forth and so on. So you got to be a little bit quicker, and you got to be able to fight through, people's bodies. But when you're smaller, even if you have good technique and you try to get into a jam, technique and jam at the line of scrimmage, they can kind of run through you a little bit
Mhm.
and then use their size, meaning the receiver size, against you. With him or big corners, they just cover you up. Like, they're just there. Not only is he tall, right?
Mhm.
He has long legs, but he has extremely long arms.
Yep.
So it's kind of almost like they're in the way, and then if he has, really good body control, and so you might think you're timing the jump to get up a little bit higher, and then here he comes, and then not only does he get up as high as you, in a lot of cases, as we saw, a little bit higher. So then it affects how you finish routes. It affects how you go, attack him. As far as route running, what routes he does well. The thing that he does really well, which is potentially obviously develops, could be a problem for receivers and a great thing for Nebraska, is he has pretty good patience
Mhm.
and quick feet for a big, tall, long, lengthy
Yeah.
corner. So what that means is he's going to be able to use his length at the beginning if he wants, or in the kind of the middle of the route. What we saw in one of the highlights where they were trying to run that like 9 fade. I call it a fade 9, where you're running a 9 and you fade to the, a little bit, and they want to throw it in between the numbers and the sideline.
Hmm.
Well, what he's able to do is box you out. He has great body control. And
Yep.
then when he leaps up, he covers you up, man. It's like an eclipse. He's a legit 6'3". I mean, some guys on tape say I'm 6'3",
Yeah.
and he's like 6'1" and a half.
Yeah. Six
My
one. Yeah.
man is he's above 6'3". It
Hmm.
might get to the point where he might not say that he's getting taller than 6'4", because he's so long. He is
Hmm.
a big, long corner, great timing, pretty good speed. And the great thing about those long corners, they're able to make up any speed difference with their length and their ability to play the ball.
So let's last question here before we get out of here. Nebraska loses two bigger corners from last season, Quentin Newsom and Tamon Lynham, both over six
Right.
feet tall. They get Blye Hill, 6'3". But let's look at who Blye Hill will be competing with for the corner job, for one of the corner jobs at Nebraska this upcoming spring ball and fall camp. Malcolm Hartzog, Tommy Hill, Dwight Boodle, Ethan Nation, Sincere Safuela, Jeremiah Charles, even, who began his
Yeah.
career at receiver but playing a lot of DB now. And then obviously the true freshmen that are going to be coming in: Mario Buford, Larry Tarver, Amari Sanders. The list goes on. There's a lot of DBs in this program. Just give me your thoughts on the DB room, and specifically the two corners, the corner positions at Nebraska for 2024.
Well, I think when you lose, Quentin Newsom, and then Lynham, I think started to come on some too. I saw him
Yes, it
in the
did.
game, and
Yep.
so you lose Newsom, who was a very consistent and became a stalwart, right? Where you
Mm-hmm.
got to think a couple years ago, he got overlooked for initial black shirt, put his head down, earned it, and
Yeah.
never gave it up. Good leader as well, and you could count on him in a big game or any game to be
Mm-hmm.
successful. So that you're never going to replace that per player to player. But if there's ever a situation that you feel a little bit more comfortable about it, is that you have Hartzog and Tommy Hill coming back, especially since Tommy Hill was one of the better stories, in my
Yep.
opinion, and it's two different. I always say Singleton and Hill, but Hill,
Mm-hmm.
since we're talking about corners, where he was a man without position, he played offense, defense. With the prior group, it seemed like week to week. He didn't start off his off season probably the best with Coach Rhule. Coach Rhule then turned the page on him, and then they must have clicked. And then next thing you
Mm-hmm.
know, Tommy Hill's he looks like a totally different player out there, and he made some great plays, and he made a lot of strides, right? And I think we talked about it ever since that Colorado game. A little bit of a mental lapse. I don't think it was on purpose, but just you just
Yeah.
ain't played a lot and you got caught, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, I thought he'd been pretty good and continued to get better. So now you have a starter coming back and another starter, Hartzog. I think Hartzog will bounce back. I think a little bit of a transition, sophomore slump, and not playing the whole year, your freshman year. So kind of like he's like a freshman and a half, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll bounce back next year. So you feel like you got two starters if you had to roll out there today, and then you got a bunch of guys that have a ton of potential.
Yeah.
Where there's Ethan Nation, I think he's a nice young prospect.
Mm-hmm.
You got the younger Boodle, the younger Buford. Who knows where he'll play?
Yeah.
You got Hill and a host of other guys. I think the depth is there. I think the two or three guys will surprise people. And then also, I think what helps the corner is that you get Buford back in the back end, kind of a jack of all trade.
Yep.
You got Singleton coming back, and
Mm-hmm.
then you got Gifford coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So you're allowing them to be more aggressive because you feel that the guys that you have in the back end, meaning the three, I call it the rover, and then the two safeties. I call them all safeties, but
Yeah.
um, you feel that you can make up for a lot of mistakes, and they can guide these young guys into playing a lot better. So I think it's a great situation for him. Obviously, he'd like to have Quentin back, but he's going to bigger and better things, and so is Lynham. So um, it's different than having a bunch of guys that haven't played, and so I think that also eases the transition, the learning curve as well. And I think one of the mistakes of the past is always just getting a guy. He makes a couple plays, then you throw him out there, and then he's starting forever. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And he doesn't really truly get that confidence of I'm ready. He's learning on the job, where this way you'll be able to ease in some young guys if they're not 100% ready to be out there as starters.
Good stuff as always from Jay Foreman. So Blye Hill, he was actually the first transfer as we filmed this on Monday,
Yep.
January 8th. Blye Hill, Nebraska has 3 incoming transfers. Blye Hill was a first to commit for the Huskers, the other two being former Wyoming and Texas receiver Isaiah Nair, and then former Oregon Duck running back Dante Dowdell, who Jay, we have to take a look at him. He's
Yeah,
a
we
he's
gotta take a look at both of them.
yeah,
Dowdell boy, I was just thinking every time we sign a running back, I'll be like, what it would be like if I had to tackle him. I mean, he's a big dude, man. He's a big
yeah.
physical, powerful runner.
Mm-hmm.
Really good quickness, and he's explosive. And I think he'll fit right in the mix. But look, Emmett Johnson is going to be hard to supplant him. But I think the way that they do their, or at least had done their running back rotation, they feel a lot better with him coming. And then also with the receiver, I think he's in a position to come in and provide some leadership. But then also he
Mm-hmm.
has to compete because the three freshmen that played last year, they should have taken a lot of confidence on the experience and success that they had, and also feel like they have a potential. I wouldn't say stronghold, but they feel like it. It's their position, and so if you come in and compete, there'll be plenty of opportunities for everybody to be successful.
Storylines galore for the Nebraska football program as it enters
Yeah,
the
yeah,
offseason.
man, it ain't stopped, man. This is
No,
right after the 20th. I thought, oh, me and Steve is gonna chill for a little while.
no,
Hey,
there's
it's
no
like
chilling.
every Monday. I saw a couple, and they're not done yet. So I
No,
think
yeah, yeah.
yeah, we'll be pretty busy, moving forward. So that's a good thing.
Good stuff as always. All right, for Jay Foreman, my name is Steve Marik, and that was a Blackshirt Breakdown, Blye Hill style. We'll catch y'all later.